back. We're moving on to following and unfollowing a user, right? So we can just come here, write a comment and say follow a user, and then we could define a route, but we'll definitely get an error, right? So in order to prevent that, let's just go into our user.service and then let's set up our service here. So I could say export const, then I would say what, follow user. Then over here I'll make sure that it's an asynchronous function. It's an asynchronous function that takes in a request. Sorry, it takes the user ID and then the update data since this is a service. Okay, and then over here we feed the function. So we have our try catch here. Then whenever we get an error, we can fill the error, right? Then over here, since we are looking for a user, right, so I'll say const the user, that target user, right? That target user, we are going to await the target user from the user model, right? From the user model, and then we are going to say you are finding the user by the ID, right? So find by ID. Then the request, we pass in the request body, right? So let me do it. So request body dot what, the user ID, right? So request body, that's the user ID, right? So we could do something like this, right? But because you're working in services, recapping from the previous one, we can instead just clean this part like this, right? We can instead just clean this part and then do this user ID dot user ID. Okay, that's what we can do here, because this is the parameter that is going to be considering the user ID. Okay, well, let me instead say user data so that we don't get confused. So user data dot user ID, right? Okay, so now that we have the user ID here, what we want to do is we want to get our target user. So we're going to say, oh no, that's our target. Yes, there's our current user. So we want to say the current user. We're going to get the current user basically from the params, right? So I'll await the user inside the user collection, and that we are going to get from the user model here, and then we're going to find by ID. Okay, we'll find by ID, and then we'll pass in the update data dot ID, right? Dot ID. Okay, now that we have this, what do we do next? We want to do some checks, right? We want to make sure that we have some checks going on. Okay, now we want to be able to check if we want to be able to check something here. So we want to write our ifs, right? Now what are we checking? We want to look inside our target users followers, right? And if our target users followers includes you, the current user, your normal follower ID, right, then it means that you have already followed this user, right? So here's what we are going to do, right? We are going to say, so here's what we're going to do. We are going to say if, right, if this user, let me say if this user followers, right, this, if we take the user, right, and then we check the user's followers, right, array, right, we want to check if it includes what. Okay, we want to check if it includes what. So if it includes the user data, right, the user data, okay, the user data dot user ID dot user ID, right? Now if it includes that, we want to await a few things, right? What are we awaiting? If it includes that, we want to await the user dot dot update one, user dot update one. No, yeah, if it doesn't, sorry, if this doesn't, then we want to update. So user dot update one. Okay, so we want to update one. How are we updating it? We're going to say pull. Okay, so no, push rather. We're going to say push, and then inside this push you're going to say take the followers array, right, and then push the user ID that we are passing through the body, push it inside, right? So we're going to say the followers array, right, that we have inside the model, right? We are going to push in our request dot body dot user ID. Okay, request dot body dot user ID. And then we can basically do almost the same thing for the other one. So I can just paste this, then I can change this to current user. I can change this to current user. Then I can push this, right, at the same time. I can push it into the followings. Okay, into the followings of the request.params. Okay, of the normal ID, okay, which is the target user. But because we are using this and this, we are just going to take this one, copy it, and then over here replace it with this dot, and then come and replace it with this, and come and replace this one with this. Okay, just so you understand how this thing is working. Okay, now after we're able to do all of these things, we want to say that if it includes it, right? So else, if it so over here I can say that we can over here I can say that we can send back, like a return statement or something. That is if it works out, right? So after we're able to do all of these things, you want to be able to return something. So we can return maybe a text, or so we can return this statement. So basically what will happen is we can return the data of which people, the user and then the current user. Okay, the user and then the current user. But if that's not the case, right, what can we do? We can rather now send like a response, sending a message, right? So I can say through new error, saying what I can say that you don't I would say that you have already followed this user. Okay, now that we have set this up over here, fine, we are doing all our checks and then doing all of these things, but we also need to make sure that you can't follow yourself, right? So in order for us to do that, we can come here and then do our total checks here. So I can say an if, right? So this if condition is going to check for a few things. So it's going to say that check the user data, right? The user data, that is the thing that we are passing into the body, right? The user ID that we are passing into the body. So check the user data dot user ID. Check if it is the same. Check if it is the same as the user the update data, right, dot id. Okay, the update data dot id. If it is the same, we want to do a few things, right? If it is the same, we would send a message, right? But since we are not doing this, we can rather set this condition as this. So just in case the user data, if it is the same as the params ID or the target user, if it's not the same, or if this condition is false, we want to do something else. Do you get me? So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to write an else statement here, and then I can throw a new error. So I can throw a new error. I can throw a new error here. Okay, and then inside this error here that we are trying to throw, I can say something like, you cannot follow yourself. Okay, you cannot follow yourself. So now that I have this all set up, what I can do is I can take this part, cut it, and then throw it in here. Alright, so this one says what? It says that check if this condition is false. So check if the user is trying to follow himself, right? Or check if the user ID that we are passing through the body is equal to the target user ID in the params. If this condition is true, then we'll throw if we throw this error, you cannot follow yourself. But if the condition is false, we'll do whatever we did in here. Okay, now that we have this set up, we can also work on the unfollow user service here, so that we just move on fast. So for the unfollow user, I can say unfollow. So unfollow user. Okay, so the unfollow user here. Now what are we going to do? Hey, I need to, okay, unfollow is the same spelling. So unfollow user, then obviously we are doing our check here. Now if just in case so I would say you cannot unfollow yourself, right? Just in case this condition is false, then if this condition is false, then it runs this, but if it's true, then it runs this, right? So inside we can do some changes here. Okay, so already we are waiting this one too. Then over here we can remove this and say that in case this user, right, includes this user data, the user ID, right, what we can do is we can pull, right, and then we can also pull here, right, and then we can just return this one. Okay, so hopefully we've been able to work with this, work with that. Okay, you've already, so okay, no, this is unfollow. Okay, so this is unfollow, we already took care of this. What else? We are performing a check here, just in case it includes okay, yeah, I don't think this check is even necessary, but I mean, I don't think we need an else here. Or okay, I can rather write you don't, I can say you don't follow this user. Okay, you don't follow this user. Okay, sure. So now that I set this up, we can go into our controllers, right? You can go into the controllers, and then we can let me copy this. Okay, let me copy this and export. Okay, then I can say follow user controller. can say follow user controller. Okay, so inside here, here's what we're going to do. Now just take off this one. Okay, just take off. So here's what we're going to do. Since you are performing all the functionalities in there and then they are returning a bunch of items, we already have our async request response, right? So what we can do is you can say our const data, right? Our const data is going to be what you are going to await, and we are going to await what? Follow user, that the follow user service that we made there, it has come. Follow user, right? Now that we have that, we can pass in our two parameters, of which the first one is the request.body, and then the next parameter is the request.params. Okay, now that we've been able to set this up, after this data has been awaited, it is going to send out the response just in case it's successful. Yeah, and then in case it's not successful, it will just send us its response. Yeah, depending on the error that we pass inside the service. Then we can set up this the unfollow one too. Here we can set that up here. So unfollow user controller. Then yeah, I'm going to say unfollow user. Then we're passing in the same parameters. Yeah, then we can now check for the results. Immediately we are able to get that done. Okay, so let's go into the user routes and then let's set up the routes for it. So over here, I can copy this and bring this here. Then I can say that follow, I can set this follow, right, with the ID at the end here. Then also I can say something like since this is a follow, so I'll say follow user controller. Okay, then I can copy and then I can write on follow user. I can see on follow user here, and over here I would pass in this and I would say on follow, yeah. Then I can say what? On follow user controller. Okay. Okay, now that I have this all set up, I think we can start testing. No, we can't test. This has to be a put request, puts, because we are updating a put request. Okay, now that we've done this, I can open up my postman and then we can test how things are going. So if I open up my postman, I think I have to switch back to my normal account. Okay, should be here in no time. Okay, now that we have this here, I can see follow. So I can create a new request, I can add a new request, and I can say follow a user, right? So I can say what? Follow user. Okay, so follow user. Then over here I'll make this a put request. Okay, save changes. Then over here I would say users. Okay, so let me get, okay, since we already have this user here, but I think we need to create a new user. Yeah, we need to create a new user that we can use. I don't know, the database isn't opening for some reason. I'll just kill it here. Just kill it here, and then I'll go back for it here. Yeah, so let's create a new user that we can use. Okay, so obviously we have, if I log in here with the details that we have, here, we'll see Amma, at Gmail. Okay, no, we are not deleting any user. Let's log in. I'd have to check this later on. Okay, so let's get into the database. Set data is not defined. Data is not defined. Data is not defined. Okay, yeah, so const what data should be able to help us fix it. Okay, so let's go back here. If I log in, so error login user, logging in user, logging in the user. Yeah, user logged in successfully. Okay, sure. So now that we have the database opened, I'm going to go into the YT social app, and then we can see that we have AMA here. Let's not use this. In fact, let's delete this. Take this off. Let's delete this. So after I delete this, we already have AMA here, right? So what I can do right now is I'm gonna go into here, and I'll register a new user. And I'll say something like, what would I say? I'll say Kofi, and then I can set this one to Kofi, and I can set the password to Kofi, right? Kofi 1, right? Then I would send. Okay, it's still working. If I send, should get Kofi's details. Okay, so we have Kofi's ID here, so we want to make Kofi follow AMA, right? If I go here and I check the user ID that we have 47, let's check for AMA. Okay, AMA's user ID is different, so I'll copy this and I'll go here and I'll replace it with this. But let's not forget that we should have our follow in here, and then the ID follows after. And I save that. Then inside the body, we would turn it into raw and then pass in the JSON. Passing JSON, and then over here we'd say user ID. Okay, user ID. And we're going to pass in what? No, we are going to pass in Kofi's ID instead. So let me refresh this so that we see Kofi inside the database in general. Then now Kofi is here. I can copy his ID and then come and put that in here. And then anytime I send this request, I would go and check AMA's followers array, and I should see Kofi's user ID in there, and then in Kofi's followings I should see AMA's user ID in there. So I'm just going to send. Okay, we are getting an error. What error is it? You cannot follow yourself. Okay, let's check our conditions here. So it has to be, so this is the request.body.user ID. If it is equal to the, okay, I'm coming. Okay, if this is equal, then it should throw me this. So I'm going to just switch the positions here, right? Let's just switch up the positions. Oh, come on. So if I switch up the positions here, I should say something like this. Then over here I can just Control X, then paste it here instead. Okay, then now that we have this all worked out, we can try again. Okay, so okay, let's go back and try again. Error is not defined. Error is not defined. Okay, get through error. Yeah, I think that should be it. Let's test it one more time. Okay, define undefined of includes. Okay, okay, this is the user. We are passing in the user ID, right? Passing in the user ID here. Okay, so cannot read the properties of undefined includes. So that means user doesn't have the followers property. Let's go and check the model. So if I check the user model, we should have followers and followings. Okay, we do not have that, so let's just add them. Let's just add the followers. Let's add them. So I'm going to say it's going to be type of array, and then we are going to set the default. So I can set the default to be, so I can set the default to this, and then over here I can set the followings. Can set the followings to type array over here too. And then I can set the default. Set the default to an empty array. Okay, so now that we have this working like we expected to, what I'm going to do is I could create another user again, create 2 extra users. So let me just delete Amma and delete, so let's delete Kofi and delete Amma as well. Then let us go back to Postman and recreate these users, right? So inside Postman, I'm going to create Kofi one more time. Then I'm going to create Amma. Okay, I have Amma, and then I have Amma 1. Okay, now create. Okay, so I'm going to say let's make Amma follow Kofi. So inside the follow here, I'm going to put in Amma's user ID, and then I'm going to find Kofi's ID and then place it inside the params. So where's Kofi's ID? Here. I can copy that, place it inside the params. Okay, then I'll send. Okay, so now if we check through, we should be able to see the changes that have gone on. Okay, let's check here, make sure that yeah, so inside the followings array you can see that we have inside the followings array you can see that we have, okay, this is Kofi following himself, and then okay, this is Amma following herself. So we need to fix that, right? We need to fix that. So inside the services we can rather replace the change, we can rather make these changes. So inside here, inside the followers, you can copy this, place it here, and then take this and place it here. Okay, so it's a misunderstanding of logic that caused this. So now that we have this set up, let us delete them out of the database. Let us delete them. So I can delete this and delete this, update, and over here I can delete this. Okay, then what I can do is I can go back, yeah, and then I can send. Okay, now we can check again. So inside the followings we have I'm following Amma now, and then inside Amma's followers array we have Kofi following. Okay, so now it's fixed. Let us go back and fix our unfollow here. So over here I can take this off, and then I can copy this part and then come and put it here. I can put it here. Then I'll take this and then drop it here. Right, then we just format it for it to look good. Yeah, then over here we can do we can make the changes that we made over here, right? So you can see we forgot to do this part for this. Let's just add it here. Okay, it's here. It's actually here already. Okay, so what we can do is you can just change the positions here. You can change the positions, change this position as well, put it here. And then now that we have it working all together over here, we can test out our unfollow, right? So unfollow, what we are going to do is I can just duplicate this. Real quick, and then over here when we come here I can just change the name to what? Unfollow user. Okay, and then inside the body raw JSON. Then we already have, so I'm just going to copy this and then place it here. Then we already have the user ID of who, so this be it for, and then okay, so I guess we need to change things again. So who is unfollowing who? Follower. So Kofi is following, so since Kofi is the one following, I'm going to take Kofi's ID and place it inside the body here. Okay, then Amma is the one with the followers, so I'm going to put Amma in here. Okay, now that we have that all set up, I'm going to change this to unfollow. So unfollow here. Then we save, and now it's send. Okay, what is the error? You cannot unfollow yourself, and this also we need to fix that. You cannot unfollow yourself. Okay, let's check. It's F. Okay. So we had to just no, that's unfollow actually. And then over here we can change this. So let's go to the database. This is Amma FS. So here's Amma, and then we are trying to unfollow Amma, right? So here I can take this and place Amma here, and I would rather come for his ID and place it here. Okay, then let's check. Okay, then we can now send. To the service. Okay, so you don't follow this user, and I guess we switch positions. We must fix that immediately. So I'll just paste that, enter B4, copy that, and I'll fix that here. Okay, then what error is it again? Wait, I need to save. Okay, then I'll send. Okay, you don't follow this user, that's weird. Let's check what are the checks, right? User That's okay. So we had to switch some things here, the checks that we are making here, right? So over here we can rather say that if this target user contains the user that we are passing through the body, right, inside this followers. So let's make sure that we have this check here. Oh, what is going on? Yeah, so over here we can see that the user that we are passing through the body, which is this one, right, passing this user through the body here, right? Okay, fb2, this this target user, okay, this is the target user basically. Okay, so we are going to take the target user, this is the target user basically, right, passing in the target user here, and then we're going to check inside the target user to see if this one, what we are passing through the body here, so this one is here, right? Then we are going to try to send. Okay, so let's save and send one more time. It says that if it includes, do this, right? But if it doesn't include, let's set this to false and see what happens. Okay, so I'm going to go into the database and then we're going to check, and then yes, it finally worked. Okay, so in general we had to say that if this user's followers section didn't include if the user's followers section didn't include the user data, which is this user, our target user data dot. So I think what we should have done was the followings rather, right? So we should have checked for followings instead. So followings instead, right? So followings. So that's where we could have easily done the check. So we can let's try and test for the last time. So I can send. It's okay. It has been able to do that check. Then over here I can just okay. You do not follow this user. Okay, I guess the other one, this other logic was the right one. So let's just stick to this one. Okay. So as long as it works. Yeah. Okay. We can check through as well. If you want to see the immediate results of our actions here, you can just set this section to new. You can set this section to new. New is equal to true. New no, let me clean this off of here, and then on the second part here we can set that here. I think yeah, over here. So yeah, so you can set the new here. Yeah, new. Then over here too we can do the same. So you can just come here as well. Yeah, and then set that towards an object, the new is equal to true. Okay, then we can, so I think we have tried unfollowing, right? So let's unfollow. Okay, I think it's done. Yeah, so now you can see that nobody has the followers and the followings again. Okay, thank you for getting to this point. There was a lot of bug fixes. I mean, I'm doing this tutorial while I'm recording. Like, I'm literally building the application while we're recording, so definitely we'll find some errors and then we try to fix them. And the reason why I do it, or I work it this way, is because I want my users, or my viewers I want my viewers to be able to get into the mind of development, because so that they can be able to understand how to go about things, just in case things don't go their way. Okay, so yeah, thank you for getting to this very far part of the video, and hopefully I'll just come up with the next section. And the next one is going to be posts. So you're going to handle the crud operations for posts. Okay, thank you very much.